Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB Postgame Show. Week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles get the win, 34-29 over the Green Bay Packers. An up-and-down game from Jalen Hurts. 3 turnovers for Jalen Hurts. Eagles prevail in the end with a 34-29 victory. That's Dan Sileo, host of the National Football Show, a long-time football legend who's been covering this sport for 40 years and played at the highest level in the game in the NFL and played for those legendary Miami teams. We'll be joined in just a minute here by John McMullen, Eagles beat reporter. Big Sills, let me go right to you, brother. What's your first reaction? Eagles are 1-0, my friend.
Absolutely, and here's the deal, too. There's no question those first 2 field goals by the Packers came back to haunt them. And the defense showed up tonight. It really did. I mean, for how that offense played tonight compared to the defense, I say the defense outshined the offense tonight. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, that was not a very good performance by him. But once again, Zander, it goes back to what I said, what made him great in 22. What made him great were his legs. He is still, and again, I thought he struggled tonight with picking up blitz coverage. And to me, he was up and down. He was the most inconsistent player. And I'll throw this at you. Saquon Barkley tonight, this is what I've been saying and what we've been talking about pretty much the entire time, okay? Was that what was going to be his role? Tremendous throw by Hurts, no doubt in the back of the end zone to Saquon Barkley. The running was really efficient for him when it came to his ability to run the ball and how he looked. He won that game. He's a game ball guy tonight. There's no doubt about it. He was the star of that offense.
Big Sales. He eclipsed 125 tonight. So, by the way, for everybody that wants to become a channel member on JAKIB Sports, we'll be giving away a jersey to one of our people. But what a game for him, Big Sales. But go ahead. Continue. Sorry to cut you off.
He was absolutely sensational. I thought he did a real nice job. And again, I thought Hurts struggled a little bit. He was 50-50 when it came to picking up blitz pressure, especially in the middle. Got sacked a ton of times in there. He just did not look comfortable in that offense all night. Now, on the other side, I got to say it one more time here, man. I really thought that the Eagle defense showed up. Those first 2, and I know John's going to join us here, but I got to say this. Those first 2 drives by the Packers, when they got the ball in the red zone, they did not convert touchdowns. They came back to haunt them, which was, in my opinion, a win for the Eagle defense. Zach Bond was all over the place. I mean, for all the things that we were told about Bryce Huff, he was a no-show tonight again. But at the end of the day, Zach Bond was making tackles in the middle of the field. He was pressuring the quarterback. He was spectacular in this game. Got to say, I thought Nakobe was up and down. There were plays he made. I thought the really nice play out in the perimeter where he hit the running back. I thought that was a really nice play. Had a shot at a pick 6, dropped the ball. There were moments in there. But again, you got to remember something too. In the second half, Josh Jacobs almost had 9 yards of carry. I mean, they were gashing the team in the second half of that football.
He really was. Yeah, no doubt. He was gashing. Let's bring in our friend John McMullen now, Eagles beat reporter. Johnny Mac, welcome to the show, man. I'm going to go right to you right away here, Johnny Mac. What were your takeaways? Eagles get the win, John, 34-29, an up-and-down game. The Saquon Barkley show, Johnny Mac. What were your takeaways, quick takeaways from this game?
Yeah, the Saquon show really showed up. So 3 touchdowns in his debut, first time since Terrell Owens with the Eagles. 3 touchdowns with a new team. So obviously a big performance by Saquon Barkley, gets to 132 scrimmage yards. So we're going to be giving away a jersey in game number 1. He cracks 125. So I don't think you could have asked for a better performance from Saquon Barkley, but I think he was number 2 on the night for the newcomers. And that's because I think Zach Bond was so good.
John,
I didn't see that coming.
John, where did that come from? I mean, all the things that Nick and Vic had been saying about him, I mean, he looked like Trent Cole out there.
Boy, it was pretty amazing. He was playing that hybrid role that they used with Andrew Van Ginkel in Miami, and he was just all over the place. I mean, 15 tackles, 2 sacks, and he ends the game with doesn't even give Malik Willis. And I hope Jordan Love's okay. That looked pretty bad. Luckily, he was able to get off the field. So maybe it's just a high ankle sprain, and hopefully he can get back sooner rather than later. Yeah, I heard you talking, Dan. I thought they were very good early in the game when the Eagles had the 2 bad turnovers, and they were able to rise up and hold Green Bay out of the end zone. So I thought that was good. But the defense as a whole had a big lull, really from that until the end of the game. 414 total yards from Green Bay. So I don't want to go too far about the defense. They got a long way to go. And I don't think Jordan Love was particularly sharp. Just a 50% completion percent. There are a bunch of drop passes from Green Bay. Wicks, especially, there are a number of balls he could have brought in.
John, they were sloppy. They were sloppy tonight.
They really were. They weren't great throws. They weren't on target throws, but they're throws you got to make if you're a good receiver in this league, and catches you got to make. So they left some stuff on the field. And from the Eagles' offensive perspective, they were tremendous in that stretch where they were just going up and down the field. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts starts throwing those 2 consecutive throws. The one should have been a pick 6 before the Alexander touchdown. Those are just 2 of the worst throws you'll ever see. So it's a hit and miss. And then when you close out the game with that drive, a couple things about that. First of all, Matt LaFleur, with your defense, you got to go for it.
Absolutely.
I know it was 4th and 4 or 5. I'll look it up in a bit, but
John, he did this in the playoff game when he had Aaron Rodgers. And remember what he did? He was in the playoff game, and instead of going for it, he decided to punt. They never got the ball back.
Yeah, I hate losing games that way. And with this you got to be honest with yourself with this defense. And the Eagles held the football for 7 minutes and 25 seconds, and game's over. Essentially, you're in desperation mode at that point. And you got to hope for a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Just a terrible decision by Matt LaFleur. And then big plays by Jalen Hurts after those 2 terrible throws, breaking that tackle and getting the first down, and then getting the football to Devontae Smith, who's the smallest guy in the field. He breaks the tackle to get a first down. That Packers defense needs a lot of work. So maybe it wasn't Joe Barry's fault. Maybe they're just not very good defensively.
How about this, John? What was your takeaway on, 3 turnovers? You're looking at him trying to look at and how he and Kellen are trying to progress with this offense and grow. But 3 turnovers again, you're not going.
Could have been more. And
like you said, not that Jordan Love played a clean game, because I thought he was even sloppier in that football game. And to me, once again, John, it came back to physicality of the team, running the ball, Hurts running. And I got to say this to you, John, I saw 22 again. And I mean by 2022. I saw 2022 Jalen Hurts, and I was like, holy crap. If that guy looks like that when he runs, I thought Green Bay did a good job in that counter trade that he likes to do, going backside, handing it, pretend, and then coming backside. Green Bay knows that play now. A lot of people do. However, when he takes off and he is still a weapon on getting those first downs, I thought as a defensive coordinator, if I'm Halfley on that other side, I'm going, unlike Wink Martindale, I've got to defend that because, like you said, John, in the final drive, his legs are what won that game for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, and remember, you had the two big throws, and
Yep.
on the broadcast, they're saying they're gonna, they can't imagine them throwing the ball, and they throw it for the first down to Devontae. So, um, the positive is you want to see that from your quarterback to come back after a bad play. You saw the same thing with Jordan Love. Come back after a bad play and don't let it bother you and put up some big plays. And Jalen Hurts was able to do that to win the football game on that final drive, which was really impressive, even though they didn't punch it in and they settled for the Jake Elliott field goal. 7 minutes and 25 seconds. And you know what? And I said, as soon as Narveson kicked that field goal, I said, Green Bay's in trouble.
It's over.
That's a lot of time, and I get what he's thinking, but he was watching that defense all night. And I'm talking about Matt LaFleur, like I was watching that defense all night, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable with it. Yeah. And Nick Sirianni is the CEO coach. Thumbs up, week one. He deserves credit for managing the game a heck of a lot better than the other head coach. And we talk about it all the time. I'm a big Kyle Shanahan. Anybody who watches my show knows I love Kyle Shanahan as an offensive scheme guy, as a game planner. I think he's the best in the business. I think the league agrees with me. But you know what? He's not a good game management coach. And you know why? Because he gets bogged down with the offense, play to play to play. Yeah, same thing with Matt LaFleur, who's a disciple. Those coaches get bogged down and they tend to make game management mistakes. And I think you saw that tonight.
No doubt. It was a week one game tonight, guys. It was sloppy all across the board. Jalen Hurts finished 20 of 34 for 278 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I thought he was mediocre at best tonight. I thought he was the 1 weak link on that Eagles offense. I think he's going to get better, but I did think he was weak tonight. What did you guys see from Jalen Hurts in his season debut tonight?
Well,
John, I'll start with you.
Go ahead, John.
Well, I thought, look, he made some bad decisions on certain throws, and the interceptions. Obviously, the early interception was just a cardinal sin, throwing the football down the middle of the field late. You just don't do that. And the second interception, he threw it across his body, back to the middle of the field in the red zone. Another cardinal sin. Interception. But you know what? The play before the Alexander interception, Kayshawn Nixon had that ball, could have went for a pick six the other way. And then Jair Alexander had a chance for another interception when he undercut A.J. Brown on a route. So it could have been 4. There were a number of bad decisions by Jalen Hurts throwing the football. But, this goes back to what Dan was saying about 2021, 2022 Jalen Hurts. At the end of 2021, when they made the run, the Eagles in 2022 will be better because that's the Super Bowl season. But, people kind of forget there were some bad games mixed in there. Indianapolis, I remember, Houston. They'd have long stretches of bad football. And then
even
Jalen
Arizona,
Hurts,
John, Arizona.
Yeah, they won because they had the better backup kicker, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, who got a big money deal with the Chargers. But he would make a play. He would find a way to make the play, even if the team was playing poorly. That's what I saw tonight from Jalen Hurts. So it wasn't all negative. There were plenty of negatives you can point out. I'm not going to criticize people for pointing out those negatives, but he does it. He's relentless.
He really is.
I remember saying this on the show.
Good point.
You think you have it, and you think, oh, he's not playing well. And then he just comes back out, and he's relentless. So you got to play. Yeah, it's what Vic Fangio called the Packers offense, an all-day sucker. He's an all-day sucker. You got to play 60 minutes because he's going to keep coming at you. And you saw that in that final drive.
Great stuff there, John. I'll go to you, Dan. What's your thought? What's your takeaway on what Jalen Hurts did tonight?
Well, I thought what I said at the pregame show showed its head early with communication between Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts with that snap. And they had also another issue with it later in the ball game.
Yep.
That those guys had issues in communicating. And again, people underestimate the loss of Jason Kelce in that timing. Okay. I mean, if you notice anything, even on the tush push, you got more people behind the guys pushing than they did before when Jason Kelce was just running the tush push. They've got a kind of little different dynamic back there now compared to that, because I can tell you this, there's not a chance in hell that Cam Jurgens is as quick getting that ball up. And you know what the Green Bay Packers did? They threatened that every single time when they got in short yardage, and they made sure they wanted to see if he can get that ball up. And I thought there were some struggles in there. There was some internal pressure too. I thought Jalen was 50-50 on internal pressure because they got to him numerous times back there. But like John said, he fought his way out of that. John, I give that. You're right. You know, you sack him, he'll make a play. He gets a minus yardage play, he makes a play. That, in an essence, is pretty much who that kid is. That kid is going to fight you like that all the way for 60 minutes of football, and he fought this game. I'll tell you what, the Eagles did not play their best game on offense. I mean, AJ was over 100 yards like John predicted he would be, and he did. However, they probably played C-plus football tonight offensively and won. Do you understand that? To me, the defense is further ahead than I thought it was, John. You thought it was further ahead than I did tonight. Hey, you could say this, Jordan Love didn't play well and it was sloppy. Well, guess what? That's not on the Eagle defense. If they played sloppy, in my opinion, that had a lot to do with what Vic was showing him post-snap and how he was able to do that. Gardner Johnson gets hurt. He doesn't come back in the game. They have to put McCallum. That's something to keep an eye on because that's a playmaker taken off the field. McCallum is not going to be a guy that's going to cover and make big plays back there for them. So if he's not back in that defense moving forward, again, you got another big-time passer coming up here on a Monday night against Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a world beater. You still have another big-time passer. You don't have a playmaker back there. But once again, I thought Zach Bond covered for Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff was SOS.
SOS.
I mean, he was on a milk carton tonight.
I thought the whole defensive line was. I didn't see Jalen Carter much. I didn't see much of the defensive line at all.
Everybody's playing on the same field, but I think the field, the guys were on skates. It reminded me. CJ came back, by the way. I did see CJ come back. So
yeah, I thought overall he didn't look too good tonight, even when he was on the field.
Thought he was not in run. I didn't think he filled run game. Back in the day when we had Barrett Brooks would also say this. The one thing he is a big playmaking guy, but the one thing he's not a fit guy. He doesn't have good tackling skills.
You see that with a lot of playmakers. Trayvon Diggs in Dallas, they're going to give up some plays. They're going to give up some plays as well. So, it's kind of like a home run hitter. He's going to strike out 3 times, but 3-run home run. And
are you saying he's Kyle Schwarber? So wait a minute.
Yeah.
CJ,
I'm going to go back. Well, I'm an old school guy, so he's more like a Dave Kingman type who's going to give a
wait a minute, John. Up in your neck of the woods, Gorman Thomas. He's one of them kind of guys.
Gorman.
Right?
There we go. Gorman Thomas. One of those guys.
Like,
not necessarily. Not necessarily going to be the most consistent player from play to play, but he's going to help you with those big plays. And he did come back. I did see him, so that's a good thing because he's had some injury issues. So I wanted to mention that. But Reed Blankenship, man, that interception. And by the way,
that was a great interception.
That was a bad throw by Jordan Love, but that was a great interception. And did you notice who carried that receiver? I forget who the receiver was, but do you notice who carried the receiver down the field, down the seam that made that throw so difficult? It was Zach Bond. I'm telling you, that was a monster performance by Zach Bond.
That's where I'm going next. Is Zach Bond and the linebackers. I want to get your take on Nakobe Dean as well. Johnny Mack, you went there, so I'll start with you. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, what'd you see tonight?
Well, Zach was the best player on the field defensively by a wide margin. I mean, a wide margin. Nakobe had his ups and downs. He had the great play where he blew up the back and they were trying for the screen pass. He should have had a pick 6. He wasn't able to corral it, but he got caught, on play action once. His eyes were in the backfield, and I think it was Kraft got like a 30-yard gain. So still some issues in pass protection. I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was splashy, or probably people would think about his performance differently if he got that interception, but he wasn't able to get it. But I think he's going to continue to be the starting linebacker. I don't think there's any concern there. And yeah, I do think, again, both teams are playing on it, and the Packers were slipping all over the place too. But I do think that affected the pass rush, specifically with the guys up front. And Huff was on skates. I know people are disappointed with his performance. Even Jalen Carter. I mean, Jalen Carter was able to get in there, and he and Josh Sweat sort of teamed up on that hit at the end of the game on Jordan Love, and it wasn't dirty by any stretch of the imagination. Again, we hope he's all right, but you didn't see a lot from those. The footing was really bad. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously, but it seemed really
John,
bad for both.
Yeah, you could see it, man. People were.
John,
I mean,
slipping
I
and
saw Jordan Love. I saw
disgrace.
Jordan Love slip 5-6 times.
I thought it was a disgrace that the NFL would put those players, both teams, on that field and not have it properly ready to play. And it was.
Yeah, they don't care.
It was and that again goes back into how these guys don't give a crap about these players like this with that. It was a complete disgrace. I had more NFL guys going, are you watching this? And I'm going like, typical NFL. They don't care about this stuff. And once again, that was an absolute disgrace. You would never see that in any NFL stadium around, except maybe in Pittsburgh, where they have horrible footing in Pittsburgh. But outside of that, most of the fields are absolutely sensational, except when you take a team across and you play international ball games. I mean, I know you want to make a buck, but at the end of the day, that was absolutely atrocious in how they put those players on the field. And I agree with you, John.
I agree.
I'll tell you this too, John. I thought Josh Sweat set the edge, but as I also said on the program, I thought that Green Bay would run those stretch plays. That's how they got that one touchdown run. They got that stretch play outside, and they were able to break, contain, and get outside. And I thought it tired him out because in the second half, I mean, Josh Jacobs was averaging almost 9 yards a carry.
Yeah, he looked. I thought he was washed. I thought he was washed
he looked
in
good
the first
tonight.
half, and all of a sudden he turned into. So yeah, we might have some conditioning issues again with the Eagles front in the second half, because Josh Jacobs did not look good early, and he looked very good late. So that's a bit of a concern. It's tough with the. I think the defense got helped out by two things. I mentioned there were a number of throws that were a little bit off, a number of drop passes that the Packers should have hauled in. Then we're talking about 500 plus yards of offense, and we're just killing this defense, with the possible exception of Zach Bond. And then the drive at the end of the game. You're taking up the half of the fourth quarter, where the best defense is to keep the offense off the field, and that's what the Eagles' offense was able to do to the Packers' offense. They kept them off the field for the whole second portion, the second half of the fourth quarter.
Big
So
Sills,
they didn't have a chance.
Big Sills, I got to give you credit on that, man. You talked about how important that was going to be for this team to do that. Speaking of the offense, guys, I want to get to the main point. Saquon Barkley, the off-season signing, he comes in. He has 24 carries, 109 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns, along with 2 receptions for 23 yards and an 18-yard touchdown reception from Jalen Hurts. Dan, I'm going to start with you. What did you see from Saquon Barkley? And did that give you a glimpse into what this offense can be if it all starts working? What did you see from Saquon Barkley tonight?
I thought he was great tonight, but I'm going to defer to John on this here for a second. John, you think they're going to be able to keep that pace up with him, with that kind of volume?
A lot of touches.
Wow.
So
A lot of
we're
touches,
at
John, a lot of touches tonight. And if you notice,
24 carries.
sometimes on third down, what they did was they went to Gainwell to spell him a lot. And one thing
well,
I don't
and at the end of the first half, he hurt his wrist. He came out for that for a little bit. I don't think that was about. I think he would have been in there.
can he
if
keep
he
it
didn't
up,
get
John?
banged up.
Can he keep that volume of work up for 17 games?
26 touches for 17 games. I don't think so. But we'll see. I mean, it was an impressive debut. 3 touchdowns. I thought the passing touchdown was a perfect example of what you want to accomplish, and it had more to do with the impact than the actual touchdown because you had AJ Brown. Everybody that had AJ and Devontae lined up next to each other, and they both had
Decoys.
in-breaking routes. Yeah. And, obviously 4 defensive backs are going with those 2. And all of a sudden you got McDuffie running with Saquon Barkley. And that's exactly what you want. And they're able to get the touchdown. Good throw by Jalen Hurts. And then the rushing was, they really didn't. You had the big 34-yard run, right? So, then you have 23 rushes for well under 4 yards of carry. So it was sort of that, but that's what you have. We talked about it with CJ Gardner-Johnson. Just give me the home run, give me the touchdowns. As long as you produce that, it's okay. If you get 2 yards, 3 yards, and then bang, 34, that's kind of what you're looking for. There's nothing more that you could have expected out of Saquon Barkley. And I'll be the first one to admit it because, people call me a Saquon hater, but I'm the one who predicted him to go for 1,650 total yards.
Long season, John. Long season,
though. He's on the pace to do that and get in that range. And you saw the impact he can have, which is really good. And that's what I think he is. I think he's a really good player. I just don't think he's an historic player, as a lot of people do. Yeah. So
Zander.
No, I think you're right about that, John. No doubt about it. Reminder for everybody in the chat, for those who don't know, we got a big crowd. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. In the chat, pinned at the top, you will see a link to become a member on JAKIB Sports. Because Saquon Barkley went over 125 yards from scrimmage, we will be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey next week early on in the shows to one of our channel members. You must be a channel member to win, but every time this season he goes over 125 yards, we will give away a jersey. So click that link and become a member. It's $5 a month. It's a cup of coffee a month to be entered into the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway, and it does support the content here that you guys are seeing. So appreciate that. Good stuff from there. Guys, I want to go to AJ Brown next. What a player he is. Jair Alexander tries to cover him. Start of the second half, Jalen Hurts goes 67-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. He is a tough guy to cover, Sileo. I'm going to go to you with him. What'd you see from A.J. Brown tonight, and how good is he? As a wide receiver in this league, man?
I think he's better after the catch. I mean, he is just a physical presence out there.
He put on the Jets on that catch, man, didn't he?
I mean, I'll tell you what, covering him, once he gets the ball in his hand, he reminds me a lot of guys like Michael Irvin and T.O. Once they got the ball in their hands, they were demons with the ball in their hands on creating yak yards. I mean, you could throw him a 10-yard out, and he'll take that thing up 15, 20 more extra yards. I mean, his yak yards must be one of the highest in the NFL. He is hard to get on the ground. And get this, you know what he's really great at, John? He's great at getting open in space, at creating space for him. Most of those plays that he had last night, I mean, he is so good at finding the open area in that route. I mean, he'll adjust to it, and he's really exceptional at that. And once again, too, he's got a nose for the end zone. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a Calcaterra also sighting out there somewhere, and I couldn't believe I saw something like that, but he was out there too. But those receivers, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, they're now getting put in positions where they're decoys. So Barkley has an open pass, and I got to hand it to Hurts. that was a heck of a throw in the back of the end zone on the corner there. I mean, he put that right where it had to be, and it couldn't be anywhere else, but he threw it to Barkley in that end zone throw. That was a really
that was
good
a good
throw.
throw. That was a really good
I mean,
throw.
that was a big time throw by a quarterback in that moment there, because you had a guy in front, you had a guy over here, and he just dumped that right in there. And he had the sideline and he had Barkley, and he could only throw it in one place.
Yeah. With AJ, yeah, I mean, dude's like 230 pounds, and he's running away from Jair Alexander, who's like a 4.38 guy coming out. You know, and the impressive part about that is he used his physicality to kind of push through contact before he caught the ball, and then just ran away from the guy. Yeah, I mean, he's the best pure football player on the Eagles. He's been that since he's, got here 2 years ago. I think that continues even with the addition of Saquon Barkley. He's the best football player the Eagles have, and he's really difficult to stop. You know, and I think you'll even see it more when Jalen Hurts gets more comfortable as the season goes on with these blitz pickups that he's going to see. And you saw some success. You saw one to AJ tonight. But those quick bang 8 routes, slant routes, who's going to get around that body? Nobody. You know, it's funny. The Eagles are bottom 5 throwing the football over the middle of the field, just from a volume standpoint. They were bottom 5 in the NFL last year. But when they did throw it over the middle of the field, they were top 5 in effectiveness, meaning when they did do it, it was really effective. And that's because AJ, what corner's matching up with that body? It's like a power forward blocking out to get a rebound. Who's getting around that body? And then he's got the athleticism of a guy who's 30 pounds lighter. He's a physical freak. And, that's part of this game.
He really is. One more question, guys, before we get to our first commercial break. I thought Quinyon Mitchell was great tonight. John, I'm going to start with you on Quinyon. What did you see from the rookie corner out there?
I thought there were a lot of positives. And there's certain guys, Reed as well, Quinyon, some N'Kobe, and Zach obviously set himself apart, Zach Baun. The only guy I'm going to call great tonight on defense is Zach Baun. Everybody else, there were some nice flashes, but I do think people have to realize they were getting gouged pretty good.
Yep.
And for a long portion of that game. And again, there were some missed passes by Jordan Love that probably aren't going to usually happen.
I didn't think Jordan Love was too sharp tonight.
No, he wasn't at all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there were a number of passes, Wicks specifically. He had 3. I'm just looking at it. Wicks had 3 targets, no catches. Every single one of those balls he should have caught.
Were drops.
And he didn't bring them in. They weren't easy catches because they were off target a little bit from Love, as I said, but all of those passes should have been caught. And again, if that stuff happened, you're talking about a defense giving up 500 plus yards and more points than they gave up. And they won the game. And you and I, Zander, both had scores around. I had 33-28 Eagles. And what'd you have? 34-31?
Yeah, 34-31. Matt Bird points out we got it pretty close. I was pretty close in the score. Yeah, final was 34-29. Yeah.
Yeah, I had 33-28. I was right there.
Yeah, we were both right there, Johnny Mac.
Yeah. So, I mean, 29 is a lot of points, 410, 414. Think about this, guys. We're raving about that last drive, and we should, because that last drive was tremendous by the Eagles offense. Tremendous. And that put them over the top when it came to time of possession. So the time of possession is 32-47 for the Eagles, 27-13 for the Packers. They had 74 offensive plays compared to 58 for the Packers, all because of that last drive. And get this, the Packers still had more yards than the Eagles, 414 to 410.
John, did they have more time of possession too?
Yeah, the Eagles had more time of possession. Yeah.
Okay. Because of that last drive?
Yeah, because of the last drive.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Even with all that advantage, the Packers still had more offensive yards, which all I'm saying is there's plenty to work on defensively.
No doubt about it. Great game here. Great opening one. Eagles start 1-0. Everybody, they get the win over the Green Bay Packers 34-29 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Looking forward to them getting back home to Philly and getting back on American soil. As someone points out, Martin Leonard, thank you for the super chat, brother. That field was trash. Luckily, someone didn't get hurt. No doubt about it. Johnny Mac and Dan both just talked about it. We'll get to our first commercial break. We'll come back. We got another segment here with Johnny Mac and Dan Sileo on the other side. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. The JAKIB Postgame Show will be back in 3 minutes.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB Postgame Show after the Eagles get their first win. I want to welcome and thank everybody in, all of our new members, guys. We got people becoming members like crazy to get their hands on that Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. We will be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey to one member. The deal is every time he goes over 125 yards, could be up to 20 times if he does it in the playoffs. We're giving away one Saquon jersey to a channel member. So thanks to everybody.
By the way, Zander, he went to 126, and I announced it on Twitter. And then he went back. He had
I saw that, Johnny.
a 1 yard loss, and I'm like, oh boy, if he loses another one.
I was doing it anyway, John, because you know what? 3 touchdowns warrants a couple extra yards. So I was warning it. I was going to do it anyway, but you're right. I did notice that as well. Guys, I got a question I want to ask you both. And maybe people won't like it so much coming off a win. I'm fired up. We are 1-0. It was a good win in Brazil. Now they get to come back to the States and kind of get things, back on the tracks here. 3 turnovers tonight for Jalen Hurts. It was a big problem for him last year. Sills, I'm going to start with you on this one. How concerned are you with the 3 turnovers tonight for Jalen Hurts?
Well, I said it all throughout my show on the National Football Show. If anybody in their mind, because some dude was posting that this guy didn't throw a pick in practice, that this guy wasn't going to, with all the new responsibilities that Jason Kelsey was talking about, that thing was going to turn around in 4 months without any game preparation or any game throws, was ridiculous. This Jalen Hurts, that did not shock me. Zander, you heard me today all day going, this is going to be a bumpy start for him. And it was a bumpy start. Now, will Jalen Hurts play like this in December? Do I believe that? No. Because now he's going to, what John said earlier, this is going to be more reps. The more reps he gets in this offense, the more opportunities that he gets to see what's in front of him, the more comfortable and the more comfort zone that he gets with Cam. All of that, it's going to take some time. Here's the most important thing, though, at the end of the day. They won. They won with him playing a C- game. Now, like John said, and I mean C- game in the passing game, there were moments he was really good in the passing game. Most of them weren't, though. And again, his legs were what opened up a lot of what he did throwing the ball. Am I concerned? No, because I said it on my show today. Once again, this is going to be a process. The more reps he gets, the better he will get in this. And again, I mean, Kellen Moore walking in there and drawing things up on a chalkboard versus actually going out and playing. You know what really looked different tonight to me? It looked like a team that was knocking off rust in the first half, the offense, and it looked like a defense that had gotten some reps, and it looked like a defense that was kind of a little bit more prepared for that game tonight. That's how that played out. And like John said, second half, some of the deficiencies came around. He started gashing the team. Conditioning looked like it became an issue, especially in the front 7. There's still holes on defense. I thought the defense was more prepared than the offense tonight. And there were special players tonight on offense. Barkley, AJ, but the one guy who wasn't special tonight, consistently like the rest of those guys, was the quarterback.
Yeah, I thought it was a mixed bag. I think it's.
But John, I'm not down on him. I think this is just going to take time.
Well, I am concerned. I'm a little bit more concerned with the turnovers, not the snap, the interceptions, because those are just bad decisions. Those are just flat out terrible decisions.
Terrible.
And that, sometimes you have to look at every interception, and sometimes it's a tip ball, and it's not even the quarterback's fault. But those were bad decisions. The first one, late throw over the middle of the field, as I mentioned, cardinal sin. The second one, late throw again across his body in the red zone to the middle of the field. Like, rookies shouldn't do that. Those are bad decisions. That concerns me. And then on top of the 2 that were turnovers, you had 2 more turnover worthy throws, as the advanced stats people will tell you. The one that should have been a pick 6 by Kayshawn Nixon. And then Jair Alexander jumped a route on A.J. Brown that he should have picked off and wasn't able to bring it in. These are all bad decision throws. And that's a lot of bad decision throws. Now, when you talk about Elliott and the interceptions at training camp, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that this summer. It's meaningless. It's stupid, blah, blah, blah. But, I had been talking I don't expect Jalen Hurts to have a big turnover season, not because of training camp, because of his history. He threw in his first 2 years as a starter, he threw 9 interceptions and 6 interceptions, 15 total. That's really good. And he threw 15 alone last year. And I'm thinking, this guy's typically ball security conscious. He's going to regress back to his mean. He's going to have a good year taking care of the football. And here we are in week 1, and he didn't do a good job taking care of the football. So I am a little bit worried about that, because those are bad decisions. Again, it's not a tip pass over the middle of the field. It's not a receiver drop.
It's a read.
Yeah, it is a bad decision by the quarterback. And there were 4 of those in one game, and you somehow got out of that game with a win. So I would count yourself lucky for that. At the same time, I give him credit because, as I said earlier, relentless is the word I use. Doesn't matter how many bad plays. If you don't make those plays and he's got another play, he just might make a play. And that's what he did on that final drive 3 times, really, including the big run and then the 2 throws to Devontae.
No doubt. Good stuff there from Johnny Mack. Good stuff from Big Sills as well. Guys, we got 2 new coordinators in for the Eagles this year, Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Both made their debuts tonight. I'm going to start on Vic Fangio. Sills, I'll come to you first. What'd you think of the Vic Fangio scheme? What'd you think of how he looked out there, or how his defense looked out there in their debut in Eagles Green?
Again, I don't think they have the personnel yet on that side of the ball, or it's not mature enough yet. I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a ball player. There is no question about it. You saw that out there. But again, linebacker core still has to develop. Great start for Zach Bond, mixed bag for Dean, okay? And are you deep enough there at that linebacker position? I got to tell you, the most troublesome part was the interior defense. If you can't stop the run better than that, Green Bay, do you look at Green Bay and go, that's a run-centric team? I don't look at Green Bay like that. They're play action, and the reason they gave the quarterback $53 million is because of the fact that they want to play action. Actually, a guy who was quiet tonight, who I thought really put pressure and helped the other teams have pressure, I'll tell you who benefited the most, Zach Bond, and what player. You know who did? Josh Sweat. I thought Josh Sweat didn't have a lot of stats in the game, but he held up his side of the ball. And after a while, they started getting out wide and running those stretch plays towards the other side of the field. He had a solid game. Did he have a statistical game? No. But I thought he was solid in that point and how he played out there. He was a major part, in my opinion, for at least being decent up front. Vic kept everything underneath. I thought what they really did was, to me, if I had to pick a line, the linebackers probably played better than the line, the tackles, the corners, and even the safeties. The safeties and the linebackers probably played the best on that defense. And that's kind of, John, what he's looking for when you play a high 2 safety defense and with those with those corners off the ball the way they do. I thought Vic's group, probably for what they had and where I thought they were, I thought they were better than I thought tonight. And so I give them kudos tonight. Again, a lot of work to do. Okay. And like John said, 400 yards, a bunch of points. It's still a work in progress. But I'll tell you what, that thing could have been worse than what I thought it was. And Bond played well. Quinyon played well. N'Kobe was okay. I still think, John, they need to get more pressure on the quarterback if they're going to be.
Well, yeah. And that might be helped by just being on a NFL field. But we'll see, if it continues when they get back against Atlanta, and Kirk Cousins has a history of gouging them pretty good from a passing perspective. So that'll be a big test, because I think if he's healthy, and we don't know if he's going to be healthy, but Atlanta's probably a better team than people realize. But
better old line.
Yeah, they're very good off. They've everything. They got good skill position people. Now they finally have a quarterback, good offensive line. They have a chance. They even got a pass rusher, Matt Judon. They've been looking for a pass rusher for seems like 5 years. But I think that's the old defender coming out in you, Dan. I'm not giving these guys any gold stars, with the exception of Zach Vaughn. I'm going to go Jim Schwartz. No gold stars for me. Yeah, I don't. And Reed made a great play. Quinion, I'm with you. A lot of good signs, some bad. And that's what you expect with a rookie. N'Kobe up and down as well. Avante was up and down. The front didn't play that well, and I think part of that was field related. But both sides had to deal with it. So that's not. I will say they were better than the Green Bay defense.
Yeah.
I will say that. So if you're working on this night, but I guarantee you, Vic is not happy with that performance. Other than Zach Vaughn, I mean, you got to be happy with Zach Vaughn. But a lot of work to do on that side of the football. You gave up 414 yards on 58 plays. You talk about the running game. Now people are and think about all the missed plays, as I said, from Green Bay on top of it. Like how much they left on the field. That was obvious. Yeah, that was not a good performance. And the running, to your point about the conditioning, I mean, Green Bay only ran it 21 times for 163 yards.
Wow.
Now, the Eagles ran it for what you think, boy, it was a good rushing day for the Eagles.
7 yards a carry, John? Holy cow, he's not happy with that.
You talk about the Eagles, and they ran for 144 yards. They ran it 38 times. You take away the one Barkley run, which was 34 yards, they ran for 110 yards on the other 37 carries. Like it was a chore for the Eagles to run. Green Bay, early JAKIB struggled, but then, as you mentioned, the second half. The other kid, Wilson, he looked like he had more juice. He ran it 4 times for 46 yards, and they had the big stretch touchdown to Reed, which was 33 yards. So, yeah, it was not a good performance from that defense.
No doubt.
Hey, John, I got a question. I got a question for you. Did Nolan Smith play?
Oh, yeah, he played.
He did?
He played a lot. Early.
I didn't see an impact play at all from him.
Well, I didn't see an impact play from any defenders. I saw Jalen Carter a couple times because he's Jalen Carter, but I didn't see any impact plays. I didn't see an impact play from any of the front players. I think part of that has to do with the field.
What about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? Did either of you see anything from them? They didn't stick out to me at all.
Early in
the first quarter, I thought they did it. Zander, they won the game in the first quarter by not allowing touchdowns and allowing only field goals. That came back, like I told you, that came back to haunt. That came back to haunt them in that game at the end when it came to the score. The missed field goal and the fact that they were not able to convert those into touchdowns won that football game. And so you got to give a little bit up there for Davis and Carter in there at the beginning of the first quarter. But to John's point, they totally ran out of gas. And Vic even mentioned it, John, in his last press conference. When they asked him, they go, what do you think of the conditioning of the two guys? You could tell he wanted to have more reps for those guys in exhibition football. He said, we'll find out. Well, we found out they were not in shape in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pull up the box score and look for, so Ballin lit it up. It's like,
tackles.
LeBron James in the box score. He's got 15 tackles, 2 sacks, a tackle for loss, two quarterback hits.
That's all pro stuff.
Yeah. If you look at quarterback hits and that nature, Carter was credited with 1, Sweat was credited with 1, and Ajoma was credited with 1, and that's it. And that's it. I mean, Vaughn had the 2 sacks. no other sacks in the game. He had 2 of the quarterback hits, 2 of the 5. Wasn't a good day for the front. I believe part of that was because of the field, but wasn't good. And the Green Bay defense, which is, boy, they got a lot of work to do. They're even worse. They had 5 as well, but at least Rashawn Gary showed up a little bit. He was the one front player on both teams that kind of splashed on occasion.
I thought he gave Mekhi Becton a little working out there tonight because he was back.
I'm surprised. I think Mekhi played well. I gotta watch the film, but
he was.
I thought Mekhi.
Was a force
I thought he played
there.
well.
He was a force for the Packers out there, though. They had a hard time blocking him.
You're talking about who are you talking about?
The defensive lineman that they had who was getting back there in the backfield.
Rashawn Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised Becton did a better job on Kenny Clark than I expected. You didn't see much of Kenny Clark at all. Rashawn Gary's an edge player. So, he gave Lane some trouble. Now, one of the plays, Lane thought they were going to call a penalty and sort of stop playing. But you just don't see Lane Johnson get beat much. And he got beat a couple times by Rashawn Gary, who's a really good player. But, that Green Bay defense, boy, they got to get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff there. Good breakdown. John, I want to ask you something specifically. Your sights were set on Jalen Hurts' handling of the blitz. How do you think he responded to that tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was helped out by the field. Same reason. I don't think you saw. He had the one good pass to A.J. Brown on a blitz that was really bearing down on him. That's the one where I noticed, and AJ was able to turn it up and get the first down. I didn't see a lot. I'm a little surprised that, and maybe it had to do with the field. I thought I'd see more blitzing. In fact, at the end of the game, when they were losing the game, it was all 4-man rushes, and they were just letting Jalen sit in the pocket and, just wait for the opening to run the football. I thought it was a really bad game plan in the fourth quarter from not only Matt LaFleur from a game management standpoint, but you talk about a rookie coordinator, Jeff Hadley. I didn't know what he was trying to accomplish in that last drive, which siphoned the clock. No sense of urgency. No, I don't know. It was ugly.
Sills, any takeaway on what Jalen did against the blitz tonight?
I thought it was a mixed bag.
Yeah,
I agree with John. I thought there were times that he threw out of it. There were times where he was pressured and went down with sacks. I'll tell you one thing that Green Bay did do. They pressured him from the corners and kept him in the box. And anytime Jalen tried to get out the box, he couldn't.
Yeah, they were very cognizant of keeping him in the pocket. But that's one point where I said with Zander during the halftime, Jalen still bothers me. He plushes right at the first sign of trouble instead of climbing the pocket.
And it's a habit, John. It's a habit that he had.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know, it might be part of his DNA at this point, because that's really hard. It really is a habit. And that's hard to break. I covered Christian Ponder back in the day who had that problem, and he didn't have nearly the talent of Jalen Hurts, even though he was a first-round pick, and he was just never had a chance because he couldn't climb the pocket. And when you plush, as a former defensive lineman, Dan, you're especially when you flush and your eyes are down, you're not only cutting off one half of the field, the play's over. as soon as your
you're
eyes.
cutting off deep throws after that
Yeah.
because you're looking down.
Yeah. Yeah. So as soon as the eyes go down, the play's over. Yeah.
John, I thought again, I mean, of all the guys in the huddle, I mean, AJ was great. Barkley was great. Devontae was great. I even thought Goddard made some nice plays. I thought
Yeah, he had a big play.
I thought the offensive line was a little up and down. I thought for the majority of the time, once they got to running the football, that's where they took over the football game. I think it was, 38-30, and the run differential to passes. So they were kind of in that middle, like we talked about where they wanted to be. And as John said, it would dictate how the game went. Of course, you're going to run the ball. I'm sitting there watching the game late going, don't throw it. Don't throw it. You're up 3. You got the clock on your side. It's 2:15. Let's roll this thing out, and you win the ball game. Again, throwing the ball made no sense there. You made them use all their timeouts. You had the 2-minute warning gone, run the football, and they did. So they kept to their form, and they went back to a little bit of the 22 mentality. But once again, I mean, I'm looking at Hurts tonight. There were really nice plays, and there were awful plays. So again, I mean, coming out of this game tonight, the most important thing is they get the win. The defense gets the win. Jalen gets the win. But, I mean, there's a lot of work to do. To sit there and think this, John, here's one thing to think about. For anybody to think that that was a Super Bowl performance football team tonight, and to watch what you watched, a little bit of what you saw last night between the Ravens and the Chiefs, and then you watch that Packer and you watch the Packer and the Eagle game, that's night and day. Those two teams were night and day. When I watched those two teams play and what I saw tonight, I saw inconsistency with Love, and I saw massive inconsistency with Jalen. So there's a lot of work to do for both those football teams.
Yeah, and I saw a video floating around. I haven't, there's obviously no confirmation on it yet, but it did look like something popped inside Jordan Love's knee.
Their season's over if that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm not going to,
And by the way, Zander, that benefit, watch this. This is like John knows. There's nothing shade here on anything. This is what the NFL is. It's called the war of attrition.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like last year, the Jets, John, they lost Aaron Rodgers. This
Fourth
benefits
play.
the Eagles if this guy's out for an extended period of time because they were considered one of the teams that when someone would go, I'm not wishing for anything. This is called the war of attrition. That's why it's a physical football game.
No, you're right. It's a good point. Last question before we get to our next commercial break. We're going to let John get out of here. I asked about Vic Fangio. I want to ask about Kellen Moore as well. John, what'd you think of Kellen Moore's offense tonight? I thought his play design was pretty good. Can't see too much of it, but I thought it was pretty good overall. What did you see from Kellen Moore's offense tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense is pretty much what we thought it would be, a bunch of really good playmakers, and he was able to get them all involved. I think, Dan, they did run the ball effectively. And when you talk about those 2 throws to Devontae, even the announcers, Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge, I think were doing the game. They're saying, well, they're just going to run the ball. And they throw it and they have confidence. They get it to Devontae Smith. All of a sudden it's first down and the game's essentially over. So they can do everything. Dallas Goedert, as Dan mentioned, had a 21-yard explosive play. Saquon with the wheel route. They even got they spread the field, got Grant Calcaterra involved. The one Kenny Gainwell reception, he made 2 people miss. Even the role players are getting involved.
Will Shipley.
Will Shipley is a decoy. They used 21 personnel with Shipley and Barkley together. A lot of different things that'll make people happy. Just got to curb those turnover-worthy throws from the quarterback. And I talked about the misplays by the Packers. Then the Eagles could have been up near 500 yards if Jalen was a little bit sharper. So, yeah, good first impression by Kellen Moore. And that should be no surprise. Look, no offense to Kellen, but if you can't succeed with those playmakers
Yeah, right.
and that offensive line, you got issues.
I I'll tell you what, the thing that stuck out to me the most, John, was the play designs and the routes. Completely different than the last 2 years. They just looked more open and more precise routes by the receivers that were running them. I mean, even like you said with Shipley and the routes that Barkley was running too. I mean, and the using that they wouldn't do a year ago, the decoying of AJ and Devontae, opening up the other guys like Shipley and Barkley and Calcaterra. They felt comfortable doing that, or Kellen felt comfortable doing that. They just seemed to be more mature routes and how those guys were play designing those routes compared to what it was a year ago. So it looked effective to me. Again, though, Zander, I brought the point up again, and I didn't mean this as a slap at Jalen when it came to, is this thing going to be too complicated for him when you throw all of this at him with the responsibilities now? Or are you going to really just say, let's go out, do this, add this. Let's continue to morph into the offense that I want? Because to me, again, the offense that you see right now in September, my God almighty, there's no question. I don't expect to see that offense in December. Okay. I expect to see, what is the one word, John, that Kellen likes? A clean operation. There is no way that was a clean operation tonight.
No. And boy, I forgot to look at how many penalties there were tonight.
The Packers, I mean, were so sloppy, John, especially in the first half. I mean, they were, it just looked sloppily prepared. And I was shocked that Matt LaFleur's guys were not better coached heading into that game.
Yeah, 10 for the Packers, 7 for the Eagles. So a lot of yellow, which nobody wants to see, but that's the NFL. But there were a couple drives where the Eagles kept things alive for the Packers with defensive penalties, and vice versa, obviously from the Packers' perspective. But yeah, I mean, if you're grading Kellen Moore, I don't know how much more you could have asked for, other than, the quarterback throws, the quarterback turnover throws, and turnover-worthy throws, which really had nothing to do with the blitz, which is probably even more concerning, to be honest.
Good stuff there, guys. We're going to let Johnny Mack get out of here. He's got some other duties to do, writing some stuff. John, thanks for your work tonight. Appreciate everybody in the chat. We'll come back. There's tons of super chats. We got 33 super chats and new members here. So me and Dan are going to break it down for the next 30 minutes or so, and kind of get into the chat. So if you guys have some good chats, some good comments for us, we will go to them next. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Johnny Mack, thanks for doing it tonight. Great job tonight, man. And we'll be back in 3 minutes on the JAKIB Postgame Show.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid
as long as you face the fear.
and keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild brigade.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB Postgame Show. Dan Sileo, Zander Krause left with you guys here late on the East Coast. It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. Dan, the Eagles are 1-0, my man. Feels pretty good as an Eagles fan. I know you're not as much of a fan of the team, but Sills, they get the win, man. I think it's good stuff. They start the season 1-0.
Remember what I told you. If they run the ball more than 25 times, they win the game.
Sills, you 100% said that, brother.
They win the game if they run the ball more than 25 times. And that's exactly what they did in that football game. Because to me, Zander, I think they figured out that the inconsistency with the quarterback in this game tonight was on display.
I was surprised, Sills. Jordan Love didn't impress me tonight.
No, absolutely. And by the way, it's being reported now that he may have torn his ACL.
Yeah,
so
I know. Jeez,
he may be out for the year. But
you're right. Look, Sills, what you said before the break, people take it the wrong way. You're right, though. That's the NFL. It's the war of attrition, and this happens all over the league. You never want to see a guy get hurt, but look, it looks like it happened. I see Forrest.
And it benefits the Eagles. It benefits the Eagles because that takes another contender out of the top of the echelon teams in the NFC. And again, Zander, it becomes tough talk because you're talking about a player that's hurt. Well, guess what? No one cares about that in the NFL. You're talking about seeding. You're talking about what teams now. That probably moves another team up like the Rams now into the conversation because the Rams now are probably more of a team that looks more complete than what the Packers are going to, because obviously now the Packers did make a move for a backup quarterback. I forget who they ended up bringing up there, but they ended up signing a backup quarterback who I think may end up helping him. It was prior to the season starting. I forget who that was, but do I think he's Jordan Love? Absolutely not. But I think this elevates the Rams for them to be able to be in that spot where Green Bay. Now, I'm not saying they're the third best team.
No, you're right.
We'll see what the Rams do, but I think that makes them more of a viable scenario. It was Willis from Tennessee. That's right. That will be probably taking over for the Green Bay Packers now.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening. He took a sack at the end of the game there. Dan, I want to get to a couple super chats. By the way, everybody in the chat, appreciate all of you guys being here. I love our JAKIB Sports community so much. You guys mean a lot to me. You make the channel work. So we appreciate all you guys being here. Just hit that like button if you enjoy the shows. It really does help us grow. Tons of people watching. So we appreciate all of you guys for being here. Sills, I'm going to get to a couple super chats. We got some big boys. James Carver drops a $20 super chat. He says Josh Sweat, JD, as in Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. But Sweaty most caused pressure on Love's missed opportunities tonight. The best defenders tonight were Bond, Sweat, Jordan Davis, Quinyon Mitchell, and Jalen Carter in that order. And Milton didn't have a great start to bet on himself. Agreed with the Milton point, James Carver. I think your layout, by the way, of the best defenders tonight is spot on. And Sileo, to your credit, you talked about Sweat a little bit in those first couple segments. What do you have to say back to James here?
I'd say this to James. I'd go, well, JD and Carter did not play well in the fourth. They got ran over, especially in the second half. I mean, Jacobs and the Packers were running at 7 yards a clip. I mean, if you look at the yards, they had 170 yards, almost 170 yards running the ball. That's not a good effort, okay? I thought they were good in the first quarter, Xander. And again, like I said, the thing that my opinion is that holding them off the 14 points and only surrendering the 6 in the first 10 minutes or 14 minutes of the game in the first quarter, in my opinion, that's the difference in the ball game because they were able to do that. So, I mean, they did well early, but in my opinion, later on, they got ran over.
No doubt about it. Good stuff there from James Carver. James, appreciate the super chat, man. We appreciate it. George Norris checks in with a $10 super chat. George, appreciate it, brother. He says, on the interception in the end zone, A.J. Brown slipped, but situational football, no turnover, and at worst, we get a field goal there and are up 8, so don't throw that risky pass. Yeah, George, look, I had a problem tonight with some of Jalen Hurts' decision-making. You know, even that one, there was a pass even after his second interception, Dan, that was like a short slant route to A.J. Brown, and Jair Alexander was right there. And I'm looking, I'm just like, Jalen's decision-making tonight, I just didn't understand it.
He almost had a pick 6. You're talking about the one going into the
exactly. That
there.
too. That too.
Going up the sideline there, I thought he was going to get a pick 6 there. I mean, you know, they put pressure on him from the perimeter out there. And again, you know, Xander, to me, the missing link in that whole game tonight was the quarterback. He was not impressive tonight. He was impressive with his wheels. But as a passer,
I'm a little surprised at your take, by the way, in the open. I mean, look, I get what you're saying where I said, are you concerned? And you kind of said, I'm not really. It's going to be an acclimation.
I said that this was – I said this. I go, if you don't think this is going to be bumpy.
Yeah, but Sills, they were bad decisions. There were like John said, there were cardinal errors. You're on your back foot in your own end zone.
I expected it.
And Devontae Smith with 4 guys surrounded by him, and you heave it up.
I expected it.
That's just
I said
bad,
it.
that's
I
bad
expected
football.
it. Because you know why, Jalen Hurts is still learning, Xander, what they're asking him to do in reading defenses and motion and setting pass protection. It was going to be I said it. How many times do you think I said it today that Jalen Hurts was going to have a rocky game today? I said it all 4 hours. He was going to have a rocky game. And he did. He did not do anything crazy what I thought he wasn't going to do. I was surprised by the 3 turnovers. Okay, again, this is something that's carried over from a year ago now. We're starting to see a trend here where this guy is turning the ball over. I'm not ready to say he's a turnover machine, but Jesus, Xander, if we get into that Atlanta game and this guy has 3 more turnovers, we're going to start making that proclamation that this guy doesn't care. He doesn't protect the football enough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree with you on that for sure, Sills. Edgar checks in. Edgar, appreciate you being here, brother. He says Sill was absolutely right. They should have played in the preseason. Sills, I never want to hear somebody tell me again that you shouldn't play your starters at least one series in the preseason. We just talked about the turnovers. That fumble, that wasn't as much on Jalen Hurts.
That was just Cam.
I know, but it was just a miscommunication.
Exactly.
Right. It's a miscommunication. You got to iron out some of that stuff.
That's right.
I never want to hear another gut person tell me they shouldn't play in preseason. Now, I don't think the Eagles are going to play him in preseason no matter what, but boy, you're right. You were right all offseason when you talked about that. You really
How about this, Xander? Didn't it look like the defense, at least, even with the limited talent that they had, were better prepared for the game tonight than what the offense was?
No doubt.
100%. Wait, let me restate it. Doesn't it look like the defense was more prepared than the quarterback was?
Yeah, and they have lesser talent.
Lesser talent on that side of the ball.
Prepared. Yep. No, you're right. You're spot on with it. So look, I agree with you for sure. So hopefully they'll get those guys out there in the future. I don't know if they will, but you know, Sean checks in, says the same thing. Sean, appreciate the super chat, my man. He says this is why you got to play preseason. Slow start almost hurt them for sure, Sean. And by the way, Sills, we got lucky. I mean, that game started, we were down 6-0. That easily could have been 14-0. Green Bay got the ball at the 30, 40-yard line twice, you know, and they weren't able to capitalize with 2 touchdowns. They settled for 2 field goals. I thought that was a turning point in the game there. If Green Bay takes a big lead there, this is a completely different ball game. So definitely interesting to see with that. Eric Holland checks in. He says, did we change the narrative from last year tonight? Eric, no. I'm going to say no yet. Yeah, I'm going to say no.
No way. And I'll tell you something else. And I'll ask you this, Zander. Do you think you can go, and I asked John this, and I'll ask you this. Do you think you can carry the same amount of volume of touches for Barkley for 17 weeks?
I don't. Look, I don't. I thought tonight was too much. I mean, and there were moments tonight, Sills, where
They needed him. They needed him.
I know, but they couldn't.
Playing well.
He had what, 24 carries, I think, and 2 receptions. I thought it easily could have been over 30. There were a couple read options that Jalen took it, and he clearly should have given it to Saquon. It was a dumb decision to keep it. And then there were some other moments where Saquon should have got the ball as well. I mean, you're right. They needed him for 30-plus carries. I don't know if he's going to hold up. I mean, that's a lot of touches for any back. I don't care who you are. So we'll see. But, it's an interesting point by you on how much he could, how long he'll last with it. So we will see. I do want to thank, by the way, all of our members, Sills. We got tons of new members tonight.
Fantastic.
Hunter Cross, appreciate. Yeah, man. Joe Gibson, appreciate you becoming a member. Cody K, my man Cody K, appreciate it, brother. Chad Whitaker becomes a member. Jamie and Thompson becomes a member. Holly First, Andrew Hernandez, Tyrone Bell, and Rashid Mixon. So thanks to all you guys for becoming a member. You guys are all officially entered into the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. We appreciate that very much. Any other super chats I want to get to? I know I missed a couple. You guys were great. We had too much going on in that open to hit them all, but I do want to. Here's Mike Witt, a depressed Packer fan, checks in, Sills. He says, congratulations from a depressed Packers fan. Good game. Just hoping and praying Love isn't too hurt. Maybe a rematch in the playoffs. Mike, I love you, brother. Appreciate you being here. I don't know, man. It doesn't look good for Drew. Did you see that video, Sills? I
did. And what you can only hope for is him being young, and that it's a stretched ligament, and you're hoping that it's more of that than it is a torn. Because if it's torn, you're talking 18 months. You're talking about maybe training camp next year. And again, that's a catastrophic injury that you did not want for a $50 million plus quarterback. And boy, that really hurts the opportunity for the Packers to progress this year, because I thought they had a good team. But again, Zander, I was disappointed with their effort. They did not. I mean, they were worse on defense than I thought they were going to be. I mean, I quite frankly, you could make the argument, well, I thought the Eagles were better on defense than what Green Bay was.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Sills, I want to go to this super chat because this is a guy you've talked about a lot in the offseason. Michael Robinson checks in with $10. Michael, appreciate your support, man, of the channel. He says Dean was almost a star tonight if he only caught that pick 6. That was a tough drop. But Sills, I do want to ask you, what did you see from Nakobe Dean as a defensive player yourself tonight? I thought he struggled in coverage, but overall, I thought he was all right. What did you see from Nakobe tonight?
Mixed game. I thought a lot of
that tonight, right?
A lot of false steps, but there were plays that he made. I loved the play that he made on the running back out in the perimeter. That was a big hit on him. I thought that again. He would, and you know what? Everyone's killing the kid because the kid missed the interception. To me, made me like what he did in that moment. He was in the right place.
Instinctive. Yep.
He was in the right place. And so,
by the way, how about that hit he had?
Yeah. But does that come with just more reps that he makes that play? This guy's only had 218 plays. So again,
you're right.
Plus he got out of the game healthy. So again, does that change my narrative on him? Absolutely not, because I saw how about this? Like I said, it's a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag on a lot of guys. Hey, Jalen Carter tonight. I thought Jalen Carter had a mixed bag. I thought Jordan Davis had a mixed bag. Bryce Huff was terrible tonight. He was just a non-factor.
He was a complete non-factor. Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell was all over the field. And by the way, they ran that stretch play on his ass. That's how they got up the sidelines. I mean, he couldn't set the perimeter and he couldn't set the edge. They weren't going to run at Josh Sweat's side because Sweat was setting the edge on that side. They ran when they wanted to run that stretch play. The number one thing they did, Zander, is exactly what I said. They would run it right at Huff, and they ran it right at Huff. And I'll say one more time, 2 guys that you could put on a milk carton, Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff. You need to manufacture more pass rushing. And those 2 guys have to be counted on, Zander. These guys have to be an impact. BG tonight was more of an impact than what Bryce Huff was tonight.
Yeah, you think the pass rush could be a concern here coming into these next couple of weeks?
Absolutely, because now you're taking on another quarterback who throws the ball, and he's a professional passer. Whatever you think of Kirk Cousins puts numbers up. Kirk Cousins is a guy, you could say whatever you want. He still is an effective guy in this league. And if you can't pressure him, think about it. Last year, Sam Howell threw for almost 800 yards on you. And would you put Sam Howell in the same league with Cousins? I wouldn't. Okay, so if you don't get pressure, anybody could throw for a ton of yards against you.
No doubt about it. You're spot on, Sil. So hopefully that pass rush can get it going here. Philly D becomes a member. Philly D, appreciate it. Emmy, thank you for becoming a member. Just 5 minutes left to go here tonight on the JAKIB Postgame Show. Our first ever JAKIB Postgame Show with Dan Sileo and John McMullen and myself. Happy to have this new crew. I think it's going to be a great season with everybody. Appreciate all of you guys being here in the chat. Big Sil's 5 minutes left, man. What other takeaways that you had that maybe I didn't hit on tonight? Overall, man, they're 1-0. I thought they got, look, in the NFL, you're happy to get a win, right? No matter how you get it. And I think they got that out. Obviously got that tonight. So I'm feeling good as an Eagle fan, but what other takeaways did you have from the game?
Let me throw this at you that I would do on the Dan Sileo show on the National Football Show on Monday. What was the number one thing? Well, no, I'll throw it out to you, Zander. You know what I noticed? The number one thing on the sidelines is that Nick Sirianni at no time was nowhere near Jalen Hurts, and it was all the quarterback coach, and it was all Kellen Moore speaking to him. He went over and talked to the O-line. He talked to the receivers. He talked to the defensive guys, but he was nowhere to be seen talking to Jalen Hurts. I wonder if that is by design, that he has been told to stay away from him during the sidelines, because Nick was talking to everybody but Hurts. And it was an observation that I made. And to me, it just made it seem that they didn't want him involved in any way whatsoever in the play calling, and that the only thing that Nick was involved was timeouts and what they were doing, because that was his responsibility. Did you notice that he was nowhere near Jalen Hurts anytime in that game?
I noticed your tweet, and then I went and looked at it, and I noticed it then all game. You're right. Nick wasn't much near Jalen, so it's definitely going to be something to monitor kind of all season long. I don't know how it's going to. Maybe it won't matter much. Maybe he's good with just Kellen handling it, but got to be weird, right? To get kind of castrated in that way, where you went from being the main guy in the quarterback's ear to now being.
Well, how many times did Jalen used to come up to him after a series, and those two guys would at least say something to one another? Jalen doesn't even go over to him when they walk off the field now. He goes directly to Kellen Moore, and he goes directly to the quarterback coach. And I thought that was a difference. How about this? I don't know what it means, but it just looked like completely the setup was on display tonight.
Yeah, no, you're right. For sure. You're definitely right on that. So definitely something that we're going to be monitoring all season long here. Just a couple minutes left to go. I do want to ask our viewers a question, and if you guys could get back to me in the chat, I will read your responses. There was talk that you guys wanted me to do a post-game show. I'll let Sileo get the hell out of here. He's had a long day of work today with the 4-hour National Football Show and this. But if you guys want to come on the show, I'll drop the StreamYard link, and some of you guys can join. I'd like to talk to some of the fans. I always like to get a gauge on where you guys are. So if someone's willing,
by the way, they've been great tonight. They've been great tonight.
They've been great in the chat, but in the chat is different than if you want to come on. If you guys want to come on the show, that's what I'm asking. So if somebody wants to come on the show, drop it. There's Joe Whip. I was waiting for you, Joe. I knew you're up. So if you guys are up, I'll take a break here at the top of right here in a couple minutes here. And then on the other side, we'll bring it in. So we got 493 likes. Let's try and get that up to 500 plus. Appreciate all of you guys. Big Sales, great show tonight, man. I thought it was a great first post-game show. Oh, Q Ball, did I miss your Superman? Let me get that before I let Sills out of here.
Hey, by the way, Q, thank you for the text messages over on the tweets over on my Twitter. By the way, over on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show, all the people that are in my and in our post-game and pre-game and on the show, if you notice, I always only respond to you guys and no one else, because you guys have the exclusive on what we were doing by watching the football game. So I got to tell you, Zander, I've been absolutely floored by the response tonight by the pre and post game show. So, and again, folks, I'll just tell you this. It's a different setup for me when I'm more of an analyst and then what it is on Monday. Don't worry, baby. I got my, don't worry, baby. Fire and Brimstone, Monday, 4 to 6. Or excuse me, 2 to 6. Don't worry, homies. I'm coming for all of you because your boy didn't play. Well, I'll leave it there, and I'll wait for it on Monday, 2 to 6 on the National Football Show.
A little tease of the National Football Show coming up on Monday. Nothing like Big Sills. Everybody, look, you might love them, you might hate them, but there's nothing like Big Sills here on JAKIB Sports. So we appreciate it. Big Sills, great show tonight, man. We're going to take that commercial break. I'll come back. I'll kick it around with our viewers a little bit longer as we have a big crowd in here right now. Sills, great show tonight, man. We appreciate you doing it. I thought your analysis was spot on, both on pregame and on the postgame. Looking forward to doing it each week with you, my man, and we'll be looking forward to your show on Monday. All right, brother?
You bet, man. Thank you guys for having me and all of you for coming aboard with us and making it what I thought it would be, but then when you see it and what it is, still the #1 show in Philadelphia when it comes to covering Eagles pre and post. You may try to duplicate it, but you can't replicate it, and it was on display tonight. Everyone wants to try to do it, Zander, but
no
you
doubt,
and the Krauses have made a statement tonight by doing this. Guess
no
what?
Doubt.
There's no question. Nobody does it like JAKIB Sports here covering the Eagles. Thanks for having me, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. We're going to get a commercial break. We'll come back, and I'll talk to some of you guys in the chat. I'm going to put the link to join the show. So if you guys want to join, definitely check in. We're going to do that next. Thank you, Sills. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB Postgame Show. 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time after the Eagles get their win tonight. 1-0, everybody. I got a couple fans, Eagle fans, in the green room, so we're going to go to them. I got Joe Whipp. I have Matt. I have Edgar. I see all of you guys, so I'm going to get to each one of them. We got 20. I just had another person check in. My request to you guys would be if you can get your video and your mic just set, and then I'll bring you up. So let's go to our friend Joe Whipp, one of our best viewers here right now. We're going to bring him up now. Joe, what's going on, man? How you doing, man?
Hey, Zander.
What's your takeaways, man? What'd you think of the first game here? Eagles are 1-0, brother. They get the win. I thought it was a good win in Brazil, an up and down game from Jalen, from the whole team. But what were your takeaways from the game tonight?
Well, I go all the way back to the 60s at Franklin Field. My dad had season tickets, and I've seen a lot of Eagles football. And I liked some of the stuff I liked. I liked the offensive scheming by Kellen Moore. I thought the defense played better than I thought they were going to play. Although Jalen Carter's got to get some discipline. I mean, some of those penalties were just stupid.
Some of the throws too, man. That's what bothers me is the
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts just drives me crazy because he'll make some great plays. The first interception was absolutely. I mean, he threw in the quadruple coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just horrible.
That was bad.
I thought that was going to be a pick six near the end. He got lucky. And by the way, Dotson reminds me of the guy they got rid of. Did you see him make a play on the ball?
Yeah, no, he didn't do anything. I don't even think I don't think they targeted him one time in the game.
All he did was run around like jet sweep, and they just run off the field. So Hurts is, and he fumbled the tush push at the end of the game. That wasn't on
that. And by the way, the snap looked all right.
The snap was fine. He just went right through his hands.
Yeah.
It's a good thing Barkley was standing right behind him and fall on it. So he's got to stop turning the ball over. I don't know what he's looking at. He's got to stop flushing right and throwing it out of bounds. He's got to start either going left or actually staying in the pocket and reading the field. He had people open when he took his eyes off the field and ran to the right. There were people downfield across the middle of the field. One play had Gainwell wide open in the flat. He didn't even look at him. He just, So that was, for me, I saw a lot of good things. I thought the coach was. I noticed the stuff about Nick not going over to Hurts, and that's interesting. But I thought Sirianni was under control on the sideline. I didn't see him running around, making a fool of himself. He seemed to have better discipline himself. But the Hurts' turnovers, he almost cost the game. They should have won that game going away.
Well, yeah, they got a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball. So I agree, man. Hurts has to clean a couple things up. But look, I don't want to overreact. I think he was a little rusty tonight. I think there was a lot of pressure, coming into this game in Brazil. So I think he's going to turn it around. But I do think you bring up some great points, Joe. I mean, he's got to get that stuff straightened out, especially if you want to reach what your aspirations are. And that's a Super Bowl with this type of roster. So we'll see what he's able to do. Hopefully he can get it all turned around. But Joe,
I did notice one thing. A.J. Brown, at press conferences after the game, they asked him about Hurts, and he says, well, you're going to have to ask him those questions. I thought that was an interesting answer.
I didn't hear him yet because I've been on the show, obviously, but I'm going to listen to him when I get off here. So I'll definitely tune in. Joe, last thought, man. What do you think the Eagles are going to do this year? Maybe we'll do a post-game show every week, so maybe I'll talk to you again. So you might not need to give me what your expectations are for the full season right now, but coming into the year, how excited are you for this team? You said you've been watching them a long time.
I think with the talent they have, they should win 12 games.
Yeah, at least, right?
Yeah, I would like to see Vic bring more pressure on third and long. So they had 3rd and 10, and they went into a soft zone, and they got burned. You watch Spags with the Chiefs, the old Jim Johnson style, 3rd and 10, he's bringing the heat. And you saw what happened when they put some pressure on Love. He made some bad decisions and poor throws. That's the whole point. It's not just to get a sack. It's to put pressure on the person to make a bad decision or a bad throw. He's got to do more of that. That sitting back in coverage when it's 3rd and 10, that's not a good idea. I'd like to see that change.
No, you're right, Joe. Appreciate you doing this tonight, man. Thanks for checking in on the post game show. I got a bunch of people I got to get to, so I appreciate you doing it, Joe. Good talking with you, man. Hopefully, I'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
All right. There's Joe Whip joining me. I got one more. I'm going to go to Edgar next, and then Matt coming up after that, and then Hot Sport. So let's go to Edgar now. Edgar, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Mr. Zander?
Yeah, man. How you doing? What'd you think of the game tonight?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on, brother. The game, I thought any first game of the season, that's what it looked like. A lot of sloppy mistakes.
Yeah.
Turnovers, yes, he had them, but I think I put that up with not playing in preseason, not having that in-game experience, just like Sil always says. So I'm not really panicking over those turnovers, over the sloppy plays and the fumbles. I think maybe a couple of more games, then we'll know for sure where the Tim is. Actually.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, I think it's good to get out of there 1-0, right? I mean, when you talk
absolutely
turnovers, you get a win in the NFL. You get a win any way you can. So I think from that perspective, it's a good thing. But what other things stood out to you tonight? What players did you like seeing out there tonight, Edgar?
You know what? I thought Jordan Davis did okay. I was expecting less from him, so it was kind of good to see him do better. He could do much better, obviously. But, he did better than expected. I thought Jaden Carter did better than, as expected for a first game. He should still do better going forward, though. Zach Vaughn, man, that guy really balled out, though. So my question for you was, do you think Vaughn can keep that up?
I think he can. I mean, look, he looked like a hungry player out there tonight. And, you hear all about it all in training camp, and you're cautiously optimistic, right? Because the guy's never really been a full-time off-ball linebacker anywhere in the league. He's 27 or 28 years old, so it's not like he's brand new to the league, but he looked hungry out there, man, tonight. He was a good player out there tonight. And, that goes in line with what we've heard from training camp. So, until I see otherwise, Edgar, I think he can keep it up. I think he's going to be maybe the surprise of the year and at a position that we need it desperately. So I think it'll be a good thing if he can step up and do that all year long.
Got the fingers crossed, brother. Hey, thanks for having me on. I don't want to take too much of the time here.
Edgar, appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
Have a good one.
Talk to you again soon. All right, man.
Absolutely.
There's Edgar joining us on the post game show. Edgar, appreciate that. Appreciate your membership and your super chats. Let's go to our man, Matt. I got Matt now in the green room. Yep. Matt, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Eagles are 1-0, right? Not too much to complain about.
I know it. I thought it was a good win. A little concerned with Jalen Hurts, some of the decisions with the throws and stuff, but overall a great win.
Yeah, no doubt. What you think of Saquon Barkley, man? I wanted to ask Edgar and Joe that. He's the big signing of the offseason. 3 tutties, man. First time since T.O.
I know it, man. He could have had 4. It sucks we fumbled there on the 1 yard line, but I thought it was electric, man. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, so good stuff from Saquon Barkley. I thought he was great tonight. It's going to be great to see, what this offense can do going into the year. Matt, I want to ask you, Matt, what do you think? What's the ceiling on this Eagles team this year?
Man, I was looking at it before the season, and I feel pretty confident. I had them at 13 wins, like you did. I still think we can get there. Honestly, I was looking at the schedule. We printed it out. We were looking at it earlier. I think it's a favorable schedule. I don't like to buy that early in the season, but ultimately, I see us getting about 13 wins.
Yeah, it's good, man. And look, that and the back half of that schedule is pretty favorable. So if they can get through a little bit of this early year stuff, I know the bye is early. At one point, I thought maybe it would be all right with the new coordinators. You got a lot of young guys on defense. Maybe the early bye would help everybody, but I do think overall you never want your bye week in week 5. So definitely a knock there, but I think you're right. I think the schedule's favorable. 13 wins is a good number. Appreciate you joining in, Matt. Thanks for sharing your insight after the game, brother. Hopefully I'll talk to you again on the post game show in the coming weeks. All right, man?
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, Matt. There's Matt joining us on the post game show there. Appreciate Matt joining us. I got to go to Hot Sport. I like Hot Sport. That's a good name. What's up, Hot Sport? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, man. The name's actually Anton.
Okay, cool.
So
are you in the chat? It's hard to recognize.
So I'm generally Anton in the chat, but I've actually started my own YouTube channel recently, so I wanted to kind of come on as this. But look, I want to come at this game at a different angle from I think everybody else. Man, I'm hyped, dude. Angelo Cataldi was coming on telling us we're going to get 5 wins,
Yeah,
and then we were going to
Angelo's
get
way
spanked
wrong.
34-17. I remember that. I'm not going to forget that. And the fact that we were the team that scored 34 tonight, honestly, I really hyped for Nakobe Dean. Like honestly, I didn't know what he would
Struggled
be,
in
but he made
coverage,
some.
though. Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah, of
struggle in
course, of
coverage.
course. And
Yeah.
look, this is a player who's basically played his first full game in his career, really, today. So you can expect that. And it's also game 1 of the season. But what I saw out of him is a player, and you can see why how he's put so much trust in him, why he beat out Devin White. Like those things definitely were shown today. And Zach Bond, dude, you know what I was thinking of? Who was the guy who played for Miami last year who signed for the Vikings?
Van Ginkel, Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel, right?
Yeah.
I think he looked at Zach Bond and goes, you know what? This is my Andrew Van Ginkel.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's what Johnny Mac's been saying. Maybe they're going to try and use him. I don't know if he has that type of upside as a player, but tonight he certainly looked like he did hot sports. So no doubt about it. By the way, congrats on starting your YouTube channel, man. If you need any advice, make sure to reach out to me, man. I've been doing it for 4 years, running the YouTube channel.
No worries.
It's a tough game.
You're a legend.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
a tough game.
You're such a legend,
YouTube
man.
stuff, so I appreciate that. Hot sport, how far are the Eagles going this year, man? What's the ceiling on this team?
Dude, look, I think I've got us going to the NFC Championship game. I think the only team better than us is San Francisco. And that is, and it's small margins. I actually really think that, look, they're much better than us on defense, but if we can get into shootouts like this and our offense can carry us, I think we got better skill players than they do on offense.
Yeah, no doubt.
And better O-line.
Yeah, I think you're right. So we'll see what they are able to do. Hot Sport, thanks for joining the show, man. Hopefully I'll talk to you again soon on a post-game show coming up in coming weeks. Maybe I'll do one every week if possible. Thanks for joining me tonight, man. Great talking with you.
No worries, Zander. All good.
All right, good stuff there from Hot Sport. Appreciate him joining in. I got 2 more I'm going to go to before we wrap up here. So good stuff there. Let me go to Abe, my man. Abe, is this the Abe I think it is? Abe, is that you, my man? Is that you in the chat as Abe, the legendary Abe in the chat?
Sure it is, man. Appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining in, man. What were your takeaways from the game tonight?
Well, Jalen, with the 2 interceptions, those was questionable because it seemed like he was trying to take a big moment.
Tough decisions
right
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he passed it down the middle, which made no sense. Saw Xavier McKinney down on the left side. But overall, like the running plays was coming in clutch. You could expect Becton to do a lot this season. Bond, obviously, he was doing amazing.
Yeah, man, he looked unbelievable out there.
And then Mitchell, of course, being the first pick, he outdid himself, especially wide Vic.
Yeah, how about that trash talking too, Abe? When he's getting up in their faces, man. I love that, right?
Did you see he got in Rashawn Gary's face on the sideline? Man, he was in his face.
Yeah, no doubt. He's impressive, man. He's better than I even expected him to be. So that's exciting, man. We haven't had a lockdown corner that we drafted like that in a long time. So if we can have him, man, I think we're in good hands. Abe, I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked everybody else, man. What's the ceiling on this team this year?
Well, at first I looked at it. This Packers game was a little questionable, but I changed it about last week, 14-3. I see the only teams we got to lose against would be the Ravens, the Bengals, and I got to give one game to the Cowboys for some reason. I don't know why, but
I'm with you. I gave one to them too. Yeah,
but beginning of the first half of the season, we're gonna just do amazing, especially having this week 5 bye. It's just gonna be a clutch.
You think this is a Super Bowl team, Abe?
We'll see by week 12, just like how Sills be saying, but definitely he'll be eating crow this Monday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to make him eat a little bit of crow. By the way, he earlier on the pregame show, he had the Packers winning this game. Johnny Mac and I had the Eagles winning it. So 1-0 for Johnny Mac and I, and 0-1 for Big Sills. We'll be keeping track of that. Hey, appreciate you joining, man. So good to put a face to a name. I love having you in the chat. You're one of our best viewers, and we appreciate all your support in the chat, by the way. So thanks for joining in tonight, man. Hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. All right, Abe. Good stuff. There's Abe. I got one more guest I'm going to go to tonight on the post-game show, I guess you could call it. And that's my man, Akbar. Let's bring in Akbar now. Akbar, what's going on, brother? I can't really see you.
Z, what's up, dog? Like,
how
listen,
you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm in a man cave. It's dark in here right now. Once I get on again, I'll let y'all see me, whatever. I'm smoking, I'm drinking right now. But what I see right now is Sills is right, dog. We going 9-8 this season. To me, this season looked like last season, exactly how it started with the Patriots is real fucked up. Like
So you're not high, Akbar, on what you saw tonight.
Not at all, man. Like that shit.
Well, what concerned you then? What concerned you? Was it the defense? Was it Jalen Hurts? What stuck out?
What concerns me is the front defensive line. We got no push.
None.
Sills was talking about how good Sweat set the edge. I couldn't call his number all night myself, but he's a defensive player, so I defer to him. But as far as our front was shit. We got no pressure at all. So that's gonna cause trouble. I listen to y'all guys every day. So I understand that the front don't get no pressure, then that's gonna cause problems for the secondary. Now, Dean, he played okay. Baum played awesome. I heard nothing from CJ, GJ at fucking all.
I thought CJ Gardner-Johnson looked weak tonight.
He looked fucking weak tonight, man. And as far as the offense, I think they need to incorporate Jalen's legs a little bit more. Like, not he threw 34, 35 times tonight. I think he should throw, in my opinion, 29, 30 times a night. Like, Barkley was cooking. Barkley is fucking awesome. I loved his play.
He had 3 tutties tonight, man. That was that Akbar. You got to give me some silver line tonight, man. You're doom and gloom. We're 1-0.
I love the 1-0, man. But the way it's looking. Listen.
You're like Big Sills on a Monday morning, man. It's all depression.
I was before I started listening to Sills. I was on I was a real how can I say? In my opinion, I'm a real good analyst. But when I started listening to Sills, it was like going to fucking school and shit. And I see what the hell he talking about.
No, you're right.
Listen. Last year, Monday, when we hear him on Monday, he's going to sound like he sounded on the Patriots. He's going to sound just like he did on the Patriots. This is a 9-8 season. Listen, I'm an Eagles fan. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad like that I'm talking this way, but it is what it is, man. Like unless they can build Mitchell played great tonight, in my opinion. I like the way Mitchell was everywhere. Mitchell was everywhere. Carter, I didn't hear his name at all. If Carter is double teamed, we're fucked. We have no push on the front line at all. At all. Sweat wasn't there. Did Huff play? Did he play? I don't even was he out there?
He left him in the States, man. They didn't even bring him to Brazil.
What is his fucking number? Like, you know what I mean? Like he's out there.
I hear you.
He's out there with Devin White. So like we don't have no push on the front. Zach Baum played pretty. I'm shocked. Zach Baum played pretty good. I'm very
out of the game on defense for sure.
I'm super shocked that he played because, in my opinion, he didn't play that well in the preseason, but he showed out tonight. You know that was good.
What about Jalen Akbar? What'd you think of Jalen tonight?
Jalen was lackluster. In my opinion, he was half-assed tonight. Jalen, in my opinion, they need to call. It's the play. Okay, you can't, as Johnny Mack says, you can't call it on the play calling. you got to call it on the players making a fucking play. So, in my opinion, Jalen was a bit lackluster. In my opinion, they need to incorporate some more RPOs on his side of things, because that's what scares the whole NFL. Fucking Dan Sileo is fucking right. Like you have to incorporate him running, because that terrifies it. It
Yeah, it makes it
terrifies
tough
them.
for the defenses to defend.
It terrifies them even more than what's the guy from Baltimore?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
He can't throw like Hurts.
It's more terrifying when he runs the ball, because I don't know why. It's more terrifying when he runs the ball. You just see like nobody knows what to do, and he's just gaining yards. He's gaining yak after he runs. Like, they need to incorporate a few more RPOs. I would say like 6 more. Bring that 34 down to like 29. And the other thing is, as shitty as they played tonight, they scored 34 points.
Yeah, man.
So, in my opinion, they need to score 34, 35 points every night. And they can do that, but Hurts has to.
Remember, they did that with 3 turnovers, Akbar. Don't forget.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. He's a turnover machine. Listen. After 2 years, and then you come back and you do it the 3rd year, you're a fucking turnover machine. He's like another Josh Allen, like. But he needs to. But if he can calm that down, we'll be okay. We'll score. We'll keep scoring. Well, hold up. Well, timeout. You just made a very valid fucking point. He scored 34 points and turned the ball over 3 times. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That means the potential. Akbar, before I let you go, that means the potential is greater than what you said. You had us at 9-8. Akbar, I'm bringing you on after we win our 10th game, and I'm going to make you eat crow along with Big Sales. All right, brother?
I hope so.
I'll catch you on the next post-game show. All right, brother?
All right, homie.
All right, thanks, Akbar. Good stuff from Akbar. Good stuff from everybody tonight. Can't thank you guys enough for the support of the channel, as always. I see Akbar sipping on his red Solo cup after he got out of here. He's enjoying his Eagles. Guys, Eagles are playing on a Friday night. Got to give Akbar some slack, man. He's enjoying his night watching his birds. So good stuff from Akbar. Good stuff from Edgar. Good stuff from Joe Whip. Abe, appreciate you, Abe. Sue in the chat. Anybody that I missed? Matt, I know Matt came on. Did I miss anybody that came on? I don't know. My brain is starting to go foggy. So if I missed you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to miss you, but I appreciate all of you guys coming on, man. You guys are the best supporters, the best chat on YouTube, no doubt. So appreciate all of you guys tonight. Great show tonight, everybody. Thanks for being here. Good stuff. How many people we got watching right now? How many likes are we up to, everybody? That's my bigger question. 530. So pretty good on that front. So appreciate all of you guys. I'm going to get out of here, get out of Dodge. I'm a little wired up. Everybody's saying get some sleep. I'm a little wired up. When you do a show like this and your Eagles play, you're wired up. That's how it goes. You don't get to bed till 3, 4 o'clock when you're wired up like that. So appreciate all of you guys being here. I'm going to run one more commercial break, and then I'm going to get out of Dodge. So appreciate all of you guys. Hit that like button on your way out, and we'll catch you. I'm going to do some shows tomorrow, by the way, because I don't want to leave you hanging on Saturday after an Eagles game. So appreciate all of you guys being here. I'll catch you tomorrow on JAKIB Sports. Make sure you guys tune in, and we'll see you next week on the postgame show.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at JAKIB. At JAKIB we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give JAKIB a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.